TSL symbol. And here in the top left location, spawning as the red Terran, we've got Startail Bomber.
All right, so Terran versus ZvT on Ohana. A lot of players do like Ohana for Terran, of course. Creep spread, man. Creep spread.
Creep spread.
Creep spread is so easy on this map. It's the most simple thing. I mean, even on maps that are completely flat across the entire middle region. You know, let's take a look at Ohana here, look around the mini-map a bit. And this is one of the things that characterizes. So another map that, you know, is completely flat, Shakuras Plateau, right? But at least Shakuras, it's got some read lines that you can actually get past.
Yeah, the vision blockers.
Vision. Right.
Yeah, I guess so. But you know what? A lot of Terrans are picking this map against ZvT.
Yeah.
They're choosing it despite the creep spread possibility, just so that just because it's kind of a closer combat map. Once you're both on 3 bases, it's kind of easier already to attack the ZvT fourth, and you get a pretty nice place to siege up stuff. So yeah, and Pot also just won Ohana against the MVP Sniper. So let's see how Bomber can do there.
And especially against ZvT, who, you know, they don't passively make units throughout the early stages of the game. Against ZvT specifically, Ohana is one of the easiest natural expansions to defend in the entire game right now out of all the map pools. Against races like Protoss, not so much. You know, they're making Stalkers, they're making Immortals passively all the time. And so those back rocks are always at a little bit of a threat. But if ZvT decides to go for a big play, they have to invest in those units if they want to open up the additional attack paths into the natural. Whereas, you know, a map such as, Entombed Valley. You know, the destructible debris there, it's a little more risky. But guys, let's hold that thought. Some drones are going to be pulled off to deal with this bunker, but this is really, I love this out of Bomber, actually.
Yeah, there's no reason not to do this. It's super cool. How many drones is that being pulled off? And I believe the statistic is every 1 second a drone isn't mining, it's 1 mineral being lost. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate.
This is like, what is it, 10 drones. And the hatchery isn't done yet, so he has to choose, does he stay here or go home? He chooses to stay here because he doesn't know. We take a look at his vision. So far, he doesn't know a thing. There could be double proxy racks right here, but there isn't. So that's a very nice, just economy loss that Symbol suffered, and it's all just for a 25 mineral investment with that early SCV scout. So nice move by Bomber, and since it will be very dangerous if it's an 11-11, it's just something that you should do every game and which should be considered as part of a standard macro game.
His queens are off time. He's got some larvae sitting in his hatcheries. It's really slowed down the start here for Symbol. So if he has, you know, any builds lined up that he wants to do this game, any roach aggression or anything like that,
gonna be delayed.
Yeah, and if it's something, well, here's what we were talking about earlier, by the way. Bomber now has gone for that very fast third command center.
Sweet.
And Ohana's just, you know, it's so easy to do this on this map because of the natural being so easy to defend.
Yeah, very nice there. Let's see what we're gonna see as additional buildings. There we go with another barracks. This command center is finished, and of course Symbol will take the extractors on the natural. Makes sense since he had so many drones down here already. He doesn't want to have to draw drones away from minerals from this very paltry assembly of drones here. Most of the drones were at the expansion, so just something to keep in mind when you're being forced to pull drones to your natural. Make the gases there as well.
All right, so things starting to develop a little bit on Bomber's end. He's got some barracks going down. He's going to be able to make units and not be too unsafe here. And he's mining off of 1 refinery right now. So it'll be a little while until we see anything like siege tanks or something of that nature. Definitely expect a second one beforehand. And you know what? It's actually going to be a really fast stim most likely here. If it were to be a combat shields build, you'd want to have 4 or 5 barracks. So stim is most likely going to be what we're seeing, and maybe a follow-up into medevacs. Definitely a likely route we'll see here from Bomber.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. It's probably going to be stim. There we go, researching that stim pack. He's also started his second gas, so he'll be able to go up to that 100 gas more quickly, and then we should be seeing a factory, which, as you said, probably is going to be just a factory to go into starports. We did see Bomber loving that drop play. For example, last game against MVP Drongagu on Metropolis, drops played a very, very big part of his gameplay there.
A Roach Warren and a Baneling Nest out of Symbol right now, and this has the potential to be a very powerful attack. But here's one of the things that's interesting. This is typically a build that is done on 3 gases, not 2. Dongregu made this build very popular 6 months ago or so, and at this point, I mean, Symbol, he's not going to have money for a lot of Banelings. It's going to be somewhere in the realm of 10 or so, maybe a little bit more, but it's not going to be an overwhelming quantity of Roaches and Banes. This is it shouldn't be too much of an all-in attack. Let me make sure his probe count. Yeah, he's got 20-something drones, so should be able to transition, but
now, no vision about this yet from Bomber. Bomber did scan the natural. Don't know if he had a read because he saw double gas there, thinking it might be 3 or 4 gases. It's not the case, but he did see those 2 gases there. And he started building 2 bunkers right after. But for the rest, yeah, he's also started his wall off here, making even more bunkers. He knows now with this Marine. So he had a pretty solid read. I don't know how, but he did have it. Here come in the Banelings. They kill 1 SCV and bring that bunker to very low life. But it's gonna, it did not get repaired. This bunker might get repaired, and it looks like Bomber has enough to hold this for sure.
Well, there are 4 more Banelings. Grubby, those workers.
Oh, wow. Very nice hold so far by Bomber. He still has this bunker and can probably repair it no problem. This is looking very, very good for Bomber. He only lost, well, how many SCVs did he lose? About 9 or so. And that's not too bad at all, since, of course, Symbol is still on that tier 1 tag. Starting to take more gases, making 11 more drones behind this. Now, this is the real damage here being dealt. There go a whole bunch more SCVs, 7 SCVs.
Yeah, and, you know, Bomber can definitely still easily replace these. This bunker's not going to fall. Beautiful target firing there out of Bomber on those Banelings, and now these Roaches will be forced to retreat. So, I mean, I want to point out a couple of things here. One, we were talking about, actually, I think I mentioned how this wasn't 2 all-in. I was a little bit wrong about that. We had, it was just faster. That was the thing. The 2 gas build, it was faster. It was exactly 10 Banelings because of the lesser amount of gas, but he hit like a minute to a minute and a half earlier.
Right.
But with how fast the attack was, you know, I thought maybe he'd use the extra minerals from not going for gas, but in fact, he just used it to make even more Zerglings. So Symbol actually invested a ton into that attack. He did not drone behind it. He actually just made more lings. And well, now Bomber, you know, he lost a lot of SCVs, guys, and you can see the count, as we're pointing out right now, 40 to 52. But he's got a 3rd base.
Yeah, he's got that 3rd orbital. He's mining from full, now he's mining fully from his gases. And with Stimpack finish, Siege Stack finish, and so on, it's looking like Bomber came out hugely ahead. Not upgrading his infantry armor yet, but yeah. Infestation Pit has started. We've got 1-1 coming from Symbol. Quite behind the usual schedule of getting that 1-1. So looking great for Bomber thus far.
Yeah, his upgrades, his +1 attack almost complete. Combat shields, +1 armor. There's that starport that we were waiting for so long. I like the decision from Bomber here, go for siege tanks. You know, if he had gone for those earlier, maybe it would have been a bit better of a scenario. But now knowing that Roach Bane is on the field, you do not want to just be sitting on bio.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, tanks are always very important. And now it looks like Bomber is going to attack for now. Does Symbol know about this? There we go. That's a very important read, and we should be seeing units coming out immediately. We go with the Baneling upgrade there. No Glial, I mean, no centrifugal hooks just yet for Baneling, so he needs to make that surround, and he might, it looks like he might get it. Tanks are unsieged still, and they will shoot down those 3 Banelings right away.
All right, well, the siege tanks were lost, and I mean, Grubby, I really just wanted to see, once that attack was scouted so early, Bomber go home. You know, he's forced out the units. We can see there's 26 Zerglings being made.
Yeah.
And if he had turned around there,
so
I mean,
smart.
It's nice to deny the 3rd, but Bomber already has a 3rd base. If he had moved out, shown the army, and then turned around and gone back, maybe would have been in a great position, but after losing those tanks...
Well, I guess it wasn't too bad. It was a fairly even trade, and he kept this part of his army alive. And I really agree with you that it's smart to go home now, because that first attack wasn't too bad. They kind of traded roughly equally or so, and then Symbol made all the more army because Bomber was so close to that 3rd, and then he went home. Beautiful play there.
So at this stage, 1-1. It's actually just finishing now for Symbol. And we've got Bomber already started on his +2 here, Grubby.
Yeah, he's started on the 2nd attack, whereas Symbol is just 1-1. So looking very nice there for Bomber, getting the economy advantage. I think he has the economy advantage now. Yeah, 61 SCVs against 64 drones, equal bases. We've only just got the 5th and the 6th gases starting for Symbol. He's playing so far from behind, but he's making a few traps here for Bomber.
Yeah, he is. And I mean, you know, we've been seeing more and more of this. Why not? I love that he's using burrowed Zerglings for vision.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that there's two things I've always really been trying to bring to the field that we don't see in play right now. Patrolling Overlords. I don't know why we leave Overlords sitting still. It doesn't make sense to me. And burrowed Zerglings for vision. I'm loving that Symbol's doing this right now, like, so much. I'm like, can't even... Yeah. I love it. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's super cool to see. These Banelings are also there. And, well, what was that? He's moving in with the Infestors now. There's no vision here in the natural. No vision. Symbol might be finding a hole here in the defenses. And Bomber doesn't realize what's about to hit him.
No, we saw somebody do this earlier today, but here it comes, guys. Infested Terrans going down right as Bomber was moving out onto the map, and this is going to be a pretty difficult situation for Bomber to deal with. So many Infested Terrans in his base right now, wreaking havoc. He's got a siege tank on the high ground and a couple of Marines as well, but this natural expansion may be forfeit if we see any target fire out of Symbol. Oh, and Baneling's killing off the tanks. That's actually not a bad trade at all, but the Marines to a burrowed Baneling, and suddenly Symbol is devastating everything of Bombers.
Wow. Unbelievable. This drop is doing damage here. That was so unbelievable. I mean, the fight looked like we kind of missed the start there, sorry about that. But the fight went really well for Bomber. Then he just barreled down that ramp, and those two Banelings just really tilted the battle in Symbol's favor. And the Infested Terrans, they killed the orbital command here. Gibbles.
Yeah. Grubby, this is a tough spot for Bomber. Let's just be frank here. The supplies are even, but now, you know, Bomber can't start his +3. He had the advantage there. Now he can't do anything with that. Symbol's about to finish his 2-2. His Hive's on the way. Centrifugal hooks. More Infestors, Lings, Banelings. He's going to be moving up to that Tier 3 tech here in a minute. And Symbol is still a long way away from being able to afford to do that.
Yeah, this attack is very, very crucial here.
Yeah.
Bomber still has that supply lead. He's trying to stim there and separate his units. Only 2 medivacs, though.
Only
nice
3
spread.
tanks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stimming his whole army with those 2 medivacs is so devastating. I can't see this attack working from Bomber. There's 3 tanks here. And, like, can we get a vision of the full army of Symbol right now? Like, all right, well, we're going to get vision of it surrounding Bombers. Let's see if he can manage to hold on to this position. Lings going up, hit Marines in the back. Infested Terrans going to be surrounding these tanks. And Bomber coming forward with some Marines right now that may make the difference. Banelings are going to be forced to retreat, and Bomber getting a very nice engagement there that worked out as well as he could have hoped for.
Yeah, definitely. Still no speed on those Banelings. That's really helping Bomber out there, so the Banelings were very difficult to connect. It's still not done. Centrifugal hooks, 25 seconds. Symbol needs this to finish. He's down on energy on the Infestors. He's trying to push out here, but all he's getting is how Bomber is spoon-feeding 2 Marines at a time. Is such a beautiful split, and fungal growth against that, not going to be as effective.
Oh, but there are so many units now from Symbol, Grubby, and Bomber. His reinforcements are arriving. Is it going to be enough? Baneling speed just now kicking in, and Bomber is going to be forced to micro substantially harder, and I don't know, honestly, with all the APM in the world that he can pull it off. In fact, Symbol with 450 right now.
Very, very impressive there. Continuous attack. Bomber looking like a Zerg there with all those units streaming across the map there in a snake formation.
Well, now these last few Marines are going to try to be as cost efficient as possible, but the medevacs are running out of energy, and that makes it so difficult for any Terran player. Siege Tank is down to just 5 hit points. It will be picked off by these Zerglings, Infested Terrans, and I think Symbol may have stabilized.
He's trying to defend here. He is down 20 on supply and taking down this last tank here. Bomber just keeps sending in new units. If he wouldn't, Symbol would have the time to come back into this game. We've got Ultralisk Cavern here, but so nice splitting, continuous harassment from Bomber, and in this way he keeps the Infestors on low energy and impotent. Yeah,
using these very small groups of Marines. This is the Bomber that we've all come to know and love. We saw this at an NMLG a while back. Bomber using pure Marine builds, and here he is incorporating the tanks, but showing how good he truly can be with the light infantry units of the Terran, and is just tearing apart Symbol in a position of incredible deficit.
Super nice play there by Bomber. Of course, Symbol, really great that he almost came back into this game, but he was so far behind after that field attack.
Oh, wow. GG,
Bomber
Grubby.
takes that game. Unbelievable.
I am blown away right now by the fact that Bomber pulled that off.
Yeah, I mean, he was really far ahead, but then when Symbol got those baiting detonations on that army, such a nice move, and Bomber just had to keep attacking. If he let up even for an instant, he'd be facing